Hey, this is your host, Rick Houston. Before we get down to business in this week's episode, how about hitting those subscribe, like, and notification buttons? With all that out of the way, let's get on with the show. All right, so first of all, do you go by Jodan or Bailey or what?
I've battled to go by Jodan my entire life, and there's a story about that.
Okay.
So it's funny with it. We had a local racetrack called Myers Speedway that used to run the Liberty Bell 300 back when the Cup cars were barnstormed. But anyway, I'm walking up through the stands one day as a little kid, going up to see my actual mom in the scoring stand, and the PA announcer comes over the speaker and he goes, "Here comes the only person I know that was named after a motel." And I'm kind of wondering about it, and as I go up there, but I'm a young kid and I don't really think. And come to find out later, we're racing in Shreveport, Louisiana. And as you pull out the back straightaway at Shreveport, Louisiana, you look across the way there, and it says 1 mile to the Jodan Motel. So my entire life I battled to keep it as Jodan. And I was named after a motel a mile away from the racetrack in Shreveport, which was a battleground back when I was a kid for a lot of the short track racers around Texas, around Louisiana. So, yeah, I go by Jodan.
All right, so obviously your dad is H.B. Bailey.
Correct.
A longtime independent driver. What is your earliest memory of him being involved in racing and that being a part of your life?
Earliest memory, I remember he would come back from races, and I don't know why, but it seemed like he always had newspapers over, because you did your own body work and everything, so they would throw newspapers over in the cars for whenever they were painting them afterwards. And I remember sitting in his car as a little kid. I climbed up in the car. You climb up over the door. The car's still on the trailer. And sitting there and reading the comics inside the race car. I don't know how old I was, but it was way young, and that was the first time I ever remember being in a race car. Other than that, my parents divorced when I was younger, and my dad got custody. So I would go, and I lived with my dad. So every evening I would go to my dad's shop, and I started out sweeping the floors and then cleaning bearings, packing bearings along that way, and just worked my way up through it. So I really don't know the first time that I messed with them, but I do know, I think it was 77 or 79. It was the big car, the 115-inch car at Michigan was the first time I went across a wall. So that was 79, if I remember right.
Yeah, wow.
We were shorthanded, and I had to actually carry my own tire and my gun, and went across and changed tires there. So that was the first time I remember going across a wall.
Now, how old were you at that point?
I was born in 64, so I was 15, 16,
wow.
Right in that area.
For a cup race?
For a cup race, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nobody paid attention.
Yeah.
It wasn't like today. It was jeans and bike knee pads and Saranac gloves, and, you just went over and did it. I was, I played football and ran track and stuff like that. So I was in good shape so I could do it. But it was just, that was the first time I remember it, doing that.
So you played Texas high school football. That's serious.
Well, I didn't get to play in high school. I played in junior high.
Yeah.
But in high school, I was racing. You would every day after school, I'd drive over to the shop. I got a hardship license at 15, living with my dad, and I was over there working on the weekends. And we were very fortunate, because he'd run Michigan, he'd run Atlanta, he'd run Texas Whirl, Charlotte naturally, Darlington he loved. So during the summertime, I would go over to Houston Intercontinental, get on an airplane, fly to the track. work the weekends with him, and then come back. So it wasn't Friday Night Lights was in an oval, not in a.
Friday Night Lights was at a racetrack. I got you.
Yeah, and back then it was different because we got chased out of the garage area at 5. Mr. Beatty and Harold Kinder, they'd come over the PA and, all right, gentlemen, lay your tools down. The garage opens at 7 in the morning. So it wasn't late night like what it do now. But anyway, that's what I did. So I didn't play football after middle school or intermediate school, junior high. I was gone racing. So
all right. Did your dad race full time?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
He ran full schedule. See, now, like right now, we're doing this ovals, what they call Roval stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, back then, 71, 72, 73, NASCAR had a series called Grand American. And he ran the Grand American Series in 73 full-time, or enough where he finished third in points in it. Won the race at Nashville at the old Super Speedway, or not Super Speedway, the old short track. So I think that's about the only time he ever ran full schedule. Cup, like I said, he'd run 10, 12 races a year. He had a big wrecking yard there on the south side of Houston, between his dad's place at Alameda Auto Parts and Mr. Patke's place. They had most of the dealerships in Houston locked up as far as body parts and parts like that. So that's what he did. His racing was his hunting and fishing. Yeah. He would tell you that's his hobby.
Yeah.
That's what he does, and it was enough to get me into it. Where whenever he wasn't there, if I went to the track, people would ask me to come change tires for him and that stuff. 84 firecracker race. I'm going to take a car over. His sponsor was a guy by the name of Jeff Caldwell out of Orlando, Florida, and I'm going to deliver a car over to Jeff's place. It's a car sales place. And so anyway, I go over there for 4th of July weekend, drop this car off. When I do, Jeff goes, "You want to go over to the race?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I go in over there, and as I go in over there, we're walking around, and Jimmy Means sees me. And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just over here visiting, dropping a car off and everything." He goes, "You want to change tires today?" I'm like, this is 84 firecracker race. And I said, "Sure." I said, "Sure." I said, who, what you got? And he said, "Well, come out here." And he goes out and he introduced me to his crew chief. His crew chief was Donnie Wingo back then.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I said, "All right, Jimmy, who's driving the car today?" And he said, "Well, Ned's son is getting his start today. Dell." Okay, so Dell was driving the Alka-Seltzer 52. I changed tires for him that day. I can't remember if they paid me or not, and it didn't matter at that point. It was experience. Back then, it's different than now. If we picked up $100, $50 for changing tires for the day, that was great money.
Yeah. And that was Dale's first Cup start?
I think it was his first Cup start. I'm not 100% sure. I know it was before he got the Freelander deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was his very first one, but with that, we ran that day, and and then Hebron crashes down into one, and Kel comes down pit lane a lap early after losing the drag race, and the Air Force One landed that day, and it was a cool day. Just to walk into. And some no name won the race. I think I. Yeah,
what was his name?
You got his car over there. There you go. See the King win his 200th. It was really neat deal. That's my ongoing joke because of being in it so long and still being in it and falling into situations like that. I tell people I'm the Forrest Gump of NASCAR. Because it just falls.
You and me both, it. Brother.
Just like, wow, that happened, and I was here,
Yeah.
And you don't look back till later, but that was the way it was back then. You would pick up deals, come to Charlotte one time, and Dad was running the Open, and Butch Mock seen me, and I came out and changed tires that day for Neil. which we became friends later when he was doing all of our testing at Childress.
Yeah.
And everything, but changed on the 75 Valvoline car. So just things like that where you picked up deals, and it was a lot of fun. You met a lot of cool people.
All right, so going back through the old Grand National scenes and everything, you see pictures of your dad,
right?
And he seemed to be an interesting character just from the pictures.
Yeah.
He was kind of a cross between I'd say Waylon Jennings, and whoever. Tell me about your dad. What kind of personality did he have?
All right, my dad was old school, and when I say old school, back then, now you got to be kind to people and all this other stuff. My dad would yell at you. My dad would correct you. My dad would help you out any way he could. And the moment he quit talking to you, he didn't get mad and quit talking to you. He got mad and was, trying to help you. But the moment he seen you were useless, then he quit talking to you and you were done. That was kind of the way it was back then. It was like, I'm going to help this guy. He doesn't know I'm helping him, but I'm going to help this guy every way I can until I see he's beyond it. And that was kind of the way my dad was. He helped a lot of people up here get started, helped them out in many different ways, loaned them money, sold them stuff, out of the wrecking yard and everything. He used that wrecking yard as a business, but also as a link to stay in racing. He was, he was just an old school dad. He made me use my manners. When I say made me use my manners, he would took time on Sundays to go down to Galveston, and we would go through, and he taught me etiquette, how to eat properly, how to order for women, how to pull chairs, manners and that. And if you didn't do it, he was on your butt. I remember one time as a kid, he'd take me home from a date. I was still too young to drive. And he got, afterwards, I got out and said goodbye to the young lady. And I got back in the car, and he yelled at me. And he said, "Boy, you don't ever take a girl home without walking her to the door. Okay, you walk a girl all the way to the door. You open door. He always taught me that. But he said, and that was that. So that was the kind of person he was. He was a caring father. He was somebody that wanted to make sure that I was a good person, and that's kind of it. As far as on the road, loved to party, loved to drink. Always had his mug with his whatever he was drinking, but he was that was the environment back then. Everybody did it. Loved to watch people have a good time. He'd come to Charlotte, and he'd bring he had a big fajita wagon, what he called it, a barbecue pit type thing, and he would come in, and he'd get his friends to come in, and they'd cook fajitas for the whole garage area for free.
Holy cow!
Just like that, or and that was the way he was. He wanted to share with people and make sure other people had a good time, not around him, but just where they enjoyed it. He was the first one to have a motorhome at the racetrack. We drove a motorhome, and that would normally have one of our cars in it, and then also he had the truck, the hauler, and that would have another one of our cars in it. So we always had a bus at the racetrack before people did that. I don't know. He just probably the straightforward, kind person that I've ever met. And he helped out. There's so many people. Benny Parson tells a story about Dad and my mom getting him in the garage area. Tim Brewer started running around with my dad. There was a lot of people that Dad helped out to get in the garage area. And that's why I worked with Brewer, and I liked Brewer, because of the simple fact he was the same way. He was very straightforward. If he had a problem, you never had to guess he had a problem. And that was when
that's a shocker.
Yeah. I mean, Brewer, hey, pard.
Yeah.
But Dad was, he is a huge influence, and helped me understand how to try to be a good person. I'm not saying I'm a good person, but the person I am today is because of him.
All right.